And of course, Martin Fourcade has already secured the overall. Kontiolahti was the last venue we raced at. That was last weekend, a sprint, a pursuit, and the mixed relays, of course. Well, Martin Fourcade finishing in first place in the sprint. Missed one target, still managed to outski Andre Morovitz and Emil Hegler Svensson, who both went clear. 22:17 his winning time, and everyone thought he was set up for another double, having won the sprint, but he failed to win the pursuit the following day. But he did take his total up to 6 overall globes, 6 sprint globes. I mean, he's amassing the records, and one by one, he is picking off the records of Ole Einar Bjorndalen. Morovitz, unlucky. He was only 0.6 of a second outside, and he will know that the drop in tempo down the home straight cost him that 0.6 of a second. He took the lead when he crossed, but Fourcade was still out on the tracks at that stage. Julian Eberhard, a man who's had a sensational finish to the season for Austria, he's certainly a potential winner today. So keep an eye on Eberhard. If he can drop 10 targets, even Martin Fourcade is going to struggle to beat him. Arndt Pfeiffer getting his first win in the pursuit up in Kontiolahti of the season. I think that takes his tally up to 8 overall. Fourcade missing too many targets, continually playing catch-up. Pfeiffer just very methodical, 5 targets going down time and time again. Well, those 2 misses on the final shoot for Fourcade, costing him a chance of a win. And what a race we had. Svensson was still in there. And a very strong finish from Pfeiffer. Simoneida coming through the ranks with some more good shooting. The fastest shot by some margin, Simoneida. When he shoots fast, he tends to shoot well. When he changes his game, it doesn't really go his way. So the conditions here, still 6 degrees. I think that's delayed an hour or so because both Mark and myself feeling that the temperature dropping already. And this race is going to run through to somewhere near 6 o'clock, certainly, Mark. The tracks could get a little bit quicker by the end of the game.
Yeah, the sun's starting to drop down a bit now, and the temperature will drop off a little bit. The interesting thing is the humidity is at 39%, which is quite interesting when it's +6. So actually, there's not that much water in the air, so it could also have a bit of an effect on the skis.
Yeah, a lot of athletes noticing that in their rooms last night, the tongue sticking to the top of the mouth because it's so dry, and that might make the ski speeds a little bit quicker. We noticed a little difference in the women's, but it's always difficult when the faster skiers go first to then try and assess how fast the conditions are at the end of the race. Will we see massive changes today? Well, we'll wait and see. Johannes Tingesbø starting 15, Bjorndalen just behind him. The big guns wanting to get into Group 1. Sean Doherty going 21. That is the man that Mike Dixon's put his money on today. He's been doing that for the last 15 years, though. Let's hope that today is the big one for Doherty, who's certainly a talent, but has yet to fulfill his potential. Krishmar starting at 50. Christiansen shooting well, and Scotty Dixon going just after Christiansen. Hopefully he'll be on form. Again, sadly, Amanda Lightfoot having to withdraw from today's race, racing home for compassionate reasons. So we wish her well. Very sad not to see her racing earlier on today because her form is coming up. And from the back of the field, Mark, anyone you can pick out that could do something, could keep the race alive. Julian Eberhard, I see, starting number 100. He obviously fancies the later conditions, as does Anton Chapulin, as does Simoneida. Now, that's the sort of situation we like to see, and that's the situation we had at the World Championships, where 5 or 6 thought that it was going to get quicker later, and that's the way it turned out.
I think we can be in for a good end of the race here with Chapulin and Naida starting at the end to make it a little bit exciting. If anyone could do it, those 2 guys have got a good chance to upset the early runners.
Yeah, and Alexei Volkov going number 108, so 54 minutes to get everyone underway. Bakarnikov will be back in the dressing room. He'll probably be showered and back in the hotel, which is only about 300 yards away from the stadium, before Volkov even puts his skis on to start the race. And he won't hang around to watch.
Also with the weather conditions, there's a lot of new snow being made and placed on the tracks, plus the natural snow falling. So it's a bit of a mixture, so it can be quite deceiving with regarding the waxing and how you prepare the skis for the races.
Just moments to go before the start of the men's sprint here in Oslo. Arne Pfeiffer, who got himself a win in Kontiolahti last week. Can he do the same? This is a venue where he's won before, so Pfeiffer will be full of confidence, and the sprint is the discipline where he's most successful. Only 2 of his wins have come outside of the sprint event, so it's the 2-shoot race that suits him down to the ground. He's obviously on good ski form. Keep an eye on him. Not so often that the first starter gets the win, but it has happened this season, and who's to say it's not going to happen today?
And this race, this is a sprint race. There is no take it easy. When the moment they come out the start gate, it's all out effort.
And it's all out climb for the early stages. Sergei Bakarnikov just starting, and he'll be followed by Clement Bauer of Slovenia, who's a very quick skier, but Clement really struggling with the standing shoot in particular. Uliana Bjorndalen, he is back for yet another season. He's coming back next year, 2018, his big target. Remember, he was going to retire after 2014 Olympics, but I think on the balance of it, Mark, he's actually made the right decision, because he got medals here at the World Championships last year. He got a medal in Hogfilsen at the World Championships this year. No one can say he's fading into the memories.
No, he is continuing to surprise everybody, the critics and probably the teammates. He's still hanging in there. He's got a lot to offer, and it's great to see that Uliana can just keep pushing out race after race. In terms of the press, is his popularity still up there? I think when it comes to the big events, that they put a lot of hope on the fact that Uliana can deliver. So I think they're right to do that, because he likes the fact that he has the pressure on him.
Uliana starting 16. Number 4, that's Yevgeny Garanichev, 29, now comes from Tumen, which is where the last World Cup was due to be held, but due to the McLaren report and the scandal from Sochi, that World Cup was moved. That seems to be the only punishment that's been applied so far. Maybe things will happen over the summer. Dominic Vindish starting number 5 for Italy, and the Italians a little bit disappointing with Vera this morning, but Rungaldier having a good race, getting herself into the top 11, so maybe Vindish can do something. Finland's Thomas Grönman. Now we have to go back to early 2000s, 2000, 2001 to find finish success for the biathletes. Faisal Hayatollah was an excellent shot, and it's a shame that they faded away, but I'm hoping that over the next couple of years they can raise their game. Yeah. Ski jumping, cross-country skiing really takes priority there, I guess.
It does, and I remember at the end of my time in biathlon, the Finnish team was a force to be reckoned with, and just like that, they faded out, and the new guys came in.
Well, a Korean headband for Timofey Lapshin. Of course, one of the 4 that has made the switch from Russia to Korea, all about producing some results. I hope it's about producing or generating some enthusiasm amongst the Koreans for the sport of biathlon before the Winter Games actually start. Semenov starting 8. Semenov, ranked 26 in the World Cup standings, needs a couple of good races over the next 2 days to ensure that he gets into the mass start on Sunday, the final race of the season. I think he might have to do it on his performances on Friday and Saturday. I can't see him pushing his World Cup position high enough to guarantee a start position.
And Svensson's up next.
Svensson We saw him at the World Championships here last year. Didn't really go his way. He got a bronze in the pursuit, went 9th to 1st in the pursuit, 9th to 3rd, I should say. But been a difficult couple of seasons. What was it, 2014 when he got his last win? But there's no doubt that Svensson's on good form. He had some great results in Kontiolahti.
Yeah, some great shooting. Only 2 misses out of every shot fired in Kontiolahti, so we could see something special today.
And Svensson's form seems to be holding through to the end of the season. Pedrushny now for Ukraine. Didn't race in Khanty-Mansiysk the last round of the World Cup last year.
So it actually looks like Arne Pfeiffer's taken it easy there, but I can guarantee you the speed he's holding on the snow now is would be difficult to keep up.
Yeah, he seems to me to be one of those guys who has slightly longer upper body relative to the lower body, but he's so stable on the ski. He generates a lot of power out of the upper body and holds the glide well. So he's an efficient skier, and the efficient skiers tend to make it look easy. Exactly,
the very relaxed technique, and but don't be surprised on the speed that these guys are going, because this is the top of the game.
Yeah, we were working out the average speed for the men in the cross-country 50 kilometre last weekend, 28.6 kilometres an hour. Now, I try to crank the treadmill up to 28.6 kilometres an hour. It is fast. To think that they're holding that for an hour 45.
Yeah, and the terrain around the hill here in Oslo for 50 Ks is a lot of uphill.
Dominik Landertinger, first of Austria's challengers today, and the Austrians will be waiting to see what Simon Eder can do, hoping that, of course, Eberhardt can hit the targets, because if he does, he's highly likely to be in the top 3 unless the conditions get much, much worse towards the end of the day. We've got about another, we've got about half an hour before the sun is off the tracks altogether. And because the sky only has some 20% cloud cover at the moment, the temperature's going to drop very, very fast. So in half an hour's time, let's say 5 o'clock, I think we could be looking at 0 temperatures.
Yeah, the track's already starting to get a bit shaded now into the stadium, so it's definitely possible that could be a increase in the speed out there.
Dominic Vindish up to 1.9, lost a couple of seconds, but that's not too bad, provided he's paced himself up to that stage. Here's someone who would expect to be in the top 3 or 4 in terms of the initial split. Johannes Tingis Bø, perhaps the most exciting biathlete in the Norwegian team at the moment. Early on in his career, many thought he was the same as the Larsbergers and the Frode Andresens, but that is not the case. Johannes Tingis is a much more rounded biathlete.
It seems like he's growing from strength to strength in each year. It's very exciting to watch what his potential and where he can get to in the especially next year in towards the Olympic Games.
Yeah, the young being followed out of the start gate by the somewhat older, 43 years old, and Uliana Bjorndalen, he starts every race thinking he can win it. I think he knows now that he has to rely on the faster skiers, the Foucaulds and the Eberhardts to miss targets, but he's still there often enough, and often just one shot away from a podium finish. Now, Pfeiffer. Remember, the early starters in the women's race could hardly hit a target. I don't know what it is about the look, but if there's one biathlete I wouldn't want to be in his sights, it's Arne Pfeiffer. There's something vicious looking about his lineup.
He has some kind of eye of the tiger. Focus.
Now Pekarnikov for Belarus. Kontiolahti, he was doing okay in the pro, and it was the standing shooting that pushed him way down the order. Between 2 and 3 seconds between each shot. Not a bad rhythmical shoot as we watch Svensson go through, and that's a powerful start for Svensson, a 2.9 second lead. Now, Clement Bauer. Let's will these targets down. Triglav, of course, the mountain range up above Bled, where we have the Pachuca Stadium. Beautiful area, summer and winter. Big fan of that area during the summer months.
And Clement Bauer, he had a really fast rhythm in between shots. So, yeah, 13, 14 seconds into the first shot, and then about 1.5 to 2 seconds between each shot. So that's a very good rhythm.
And he's not going to be, he's not far off the lead. He's inside it. 2 seconds the margin. So a good start for him. Number 20, Lowell Bailey from United States, just like Susan Dunkley, having a tremendous finish to his season as we watch Garanichev rattle down the 5. Total time of 27.4. Anything under 30 seconds is good. Anything under 20 seconds is sensational. We might see 1 or 2. Ada is certainly capable of that.
Some of the guys shooting it is like rapid fire. So very impressive.
Dominic Vindish taking a little more time before shot number 1. 16.6. Won't be the slowest. That's unlucky. Oh, that's not. That's bad shooting. So each shot shifting a little bit further left, generally a sign that the elbow, the front elbow, is shifting a little.
Yeah, it could be number of things, the a little bit too fast into the first shot, or maybe the strap is dropping down. But at this level, these guys, they don't normally make mistakes on the cuffs. So I'd say put it more down to the breathing.
A couple of thousand more up here now towards the end of the day. Generally, they finish work quite early in Oslo. The play is high priority in this part of the world.
It is indeed, and especially on a Friday. We're talking like you would bail out of work about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and start the weekend.
Now, you've been here for some years, based here.
Yeah.
What about the culture appeals to you most?
I think the combination of people respect free time and encourage to get out and use what's out there. There's many things to do in Oslo.
Yeah, they're not short of money, but they've spent it well on facilities. We were talking about the cost of redeveloping this stadium, £171 million to build not just the big jump in the background, but a couple of training jumps the other side of the road, redesign the stadium area, the tracks. Huge investment, but it seems to be paying off. Johannes Tingis, he's not hanging around. 6 seconds inside the next fastest time. That's a very, very powerful start from him. Now, Svensson, can he get himself a win this season? December 14, his last. He has to hit 10. Good start. Good start. 8.19, the fastest so far from Garanichev. Svensson was inside Garanichev's time going through the early split point.
Slightly slow on the shooting, but no penalties. Looks like Svensson's taking it a little bit careful, but maybe that's what it takes today. You see the shade on the track now coming down in towards the range. In comparison to the women's race, there's a lot of sun on that track. Now it's shaded, so it could be just getting faster.
The wind now being funneled towards the athletes a little as we see Mickey Rösch coming in. We'll try and let you know how he gets on in the range. Man who trains with the Swiss team now. Martin Fourcade has already secured the overall Crystal Globe this year, and with 430 points, he's a long way clear. Here's Mickey Rösch, left to right. Wulschlager, of course, the coach for the Swiss team, who was formerly a teammate of Rösch when he was racing with the German team. Those two get on well. But Rösch is the sort of the joker of the team, always having a good time. And I think the Swiss really appreciating that. They themselves saying they're a pretty boring bunch without him around. But certainly Benny Vega seems to have come out of himself a little as well. So good situation, a win-win situation there. Dominik Landertinger of Austria, good shooting, 5 out of 5. And we'll just check his time. Freddie Lindstrom looked very relaxed over breakfast this morning. He ate a whole lot less than I did, but he's just sort of chilled out personality. I'm not sure he'll be delighted with the way this year has gone. He's won World Cups in the past. His day surely will come again. This is looking better. 8.16, achievable. Good shooting from Freddie Lindstrom, and eight minutes on the clock. Shooting down what, lane 8-9.
That was super fast. 25.1 seconds clear. So what do you say? 5 seconds to most of the rest of these athletes out there.
Yes, Svensson's 8.16 could be beaten. Now, Johannes Tingis quicker than Svensson going through the previous checkpoints. He had a 4-second lead over Svensson coming into the range. Oh, that's fantastic shooting. What's the total time in the range? 28.2, so slightly better than average from what we've seen so far. Johannes Tingis chasing Lindstrom's time now of 8.15, and he's only got a few more meters to go. He's going to be inside by 5.7. Great start from Johannes Tingis, and this is just what the Norwegian team wanted. Although, Mike, it's a sort of bittersweet, Mark, it's a bittersweet situation, isn't it? They wanted to see this sort of form in Hogfilson.
Yeah, but, at least we're seeing it now, so can't have it all.
Whoa, just over to the left-hand side for Bjorn Dahlen, and then throws the last one right. His day is done. That's the painful thing about the sprint event. At this level, one missed shot, your chance of a top 10 is looking pretty slim. 2 missed shots, you're out of the top 20.
But there's one thing that if someone's strong in their mind, it's Uulainen, and although he has 2 penalty loops to do, he will be killing himself out there on the track to gain every second back.
Well, 8.09 is the fastest. Bjorn Dahlen was, 11 seconds down coming in. So he's going to find himself at least a minute off the pace of the best after the first shoot. Germany happy with 2 gold medals in the individual races at the World Championships. Doll, of course, winning the sprint title, and Simon Schemp taking the mass start. Arndt Pfeiffer, as I mentioned, getting a win in Kontiolahti last week. There's the first mistake. And it's one mistake that could cost him the chance of a win. Just looking at his position after shoot number 1, Pfeiffer 14 seconds down on Johannes Tingis, so it didn't look as though he was going to win anyway.
Just watching Uulainen Bjorn Dahlen ski past him, just past us then. He was really into the side as far as you could into the track there, trying to maximise on the glide. And see a lot of the athletes are staying, they're not using the middle of the track, they're staying to the side of the track, and it must be a bit faster.
Clement Bauer. Missed 1 in the sprint stand in Kontiolahti. He missed 2 in Pyeongchang. Limits it to 1, so it's going to be a decent race for Clement Bauer, but the day when he hits 10 out of 10, he could be right up there with the best. Martin Fourcade, 6.7. There were signs, and perhaps the most telling sign up in Kontiolahti was that he didn't take part in the relay events, that he was starting to fatigue, and 6.7 off. We've often said, written him off on the first loop, only for him to do something sensational on the final loop.
Yeah, I mean, come on, he's had such an impressive season so far, so it wouldn't be surprising if he's at the end of his candle for this season.
Yeah, 13 wins. He set the new record mark with 13 wins. Could take it up to 16 come the end of this weekend. I think that's unlikely.
There's not that many better pursuit players than Fourcade, so if he can just get into an okay position, I think that the tomorrow can be a whole new chance to pick a few more medals up.
Which do you think's the bigger test of the biathlete, the mass start or the pursuit situation, or the individual races?
I think the incentive in the mass start is more exciting. The fact that everyone starts at the same time. They're all in an amazing, the level of the mass start with the best in the world. I think it brings more out of people. With the pursuit, you're chasing the person in front of you. It's also going to make you push in a different way. But the mass start for me.
Yeah, and the pursuit's difficult because those who start first are expected to win, and that pressure certainly seems to weigh heavy on some. Those who start down in 20, 30, nothing to lose, might as well go for it. And one or two of them will hit all the targets and make a spectacular comeback. Lucas Hofer. Oh, no.
Just out.
Surprising how many people are missing shot number 4 and shot number 5.
Yeah, I think it's like you find a good room. You see the wind flags. It is a little bit choppy down there.
So that's Vindish, Bjorndalen, Hofer, all missing the last 2 targets.
And Hofer going crazy on the penalty loop.
Yeah,
a man possessed.
Yeah, 2 sharp corners. There's not a huge amount of room to play with, to be honest, on the penalty loop here in Oslo. Semenov, 10 out of 10. Granichev has cleared 10. Now it's Svensson's turn to see if he can do the same. Svensson in 3rd place after the first shoot, but the 2 who are ahead of him both started after him. So he should, by rights, take the lead if 5 go down. %90 hit rate. You're happy for that for the whole season?
I think considering it's pretty windy, that was a really good effort on the range there. And he knows one miss, he's got possibilities to have an amazing finish.
Now, Martin Fourcade was not happy with his pursuit performance in Kontiolahti. The 5 go down. He's a little bit lucky. A couple of split rounds there, but sometimes you get the luck going your way. Fourcade seems to have that more often than not. But 8.09, he can't beat that. Johannes Tingis was 5 seconds clear. Now the margin's only 2.5. So after a very steady start, he's starting to pick up and starting to take advantage of the fact that he's starting after so many of the big names.
And you see Fourcade there just taking a glance over towards the scoreboard on the way out to see exactly where he is. Push a little bit more.
Well, he's gone into 2nd position, 2.5 seconds the margin, in case you missed that. Lindstrom just behind him, another, 3.2 behind. And then Svensson some 5 seconds down on the Frenchman after shoot number 1. But we know Svensson has missed in the stand. Dominic Landertinger misses early on. Now, let's see what Johannes Tingesbø started number 15. Svensson was number 9, so we've probably got a minute and a half. Just waiting for Bø to descend into the stadium. Tarjei Bø, 10.5 off the mark. Really difficult season for him as well with illness, Mark. We were mighty surprised to see him actually getting a place in the World Championship team, considering he hadn't raced in a World Cup before then.
Yeah, he's been very unlucky, but with the amount of training volume they've been going for this summer, it's not surprising that sometimes the body just doesn't want to play.
So Freddie Lindstrom, well positioned after shoot number 1. Still in 3rd position, 5.7 down on Johannes Tingesbø, who will be coming in any moment now. There he is. If either of these 2 go clear, they should go into the lead. Last shot wide for Lindstrom. Johannes Tingis, he looks to be on a mission, and when he's in this sort of mood, he's a very difficult man to beat. So he is going to set the marker. Granichev goes through the 8.5 with a decent lead, but Granichev has over 101 starters starting behind him, so he knows that his time is just there to be shot at. Let's see what Bø's time is. 16:49, the fastest at the moment. He's 18.3 inside, and now he's got to turn it up. He had a very quick start, Mark. He was 6 seconds clear of Fourcade at the top of the first climb. Just slightly concerned that he overcooked it. Racing at home, pushing hard, responding to the crowds.
Yeah, I mean, the speed of that last shoot as well, that was impressive. You got time on that?
Well, we'll try and pick that up a little later. I haven't got it on the screen at the moment, but I shouldn't think he's much over 23 seconds. Yeah, excellent. And we've noticed throughout the season that when he changes that tactic, when he slows it down, gives an extra second to each shot, he is far less successful. He's a sort of, he's a reaction shot.
Yeah, the more he tries, the more it goes not the right way. So he just attacked it then, and you see the speed of the shooting, and he's out, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can hold this speed for the rest of the remaining final loop.
No, of course, he's fond of these loops here. He knows them very, very well. And Johannes getting the win, the gold medal in the World Championships here last year in the mass start. What a race that was. Bjorndalen, Fourcade and Johannes all going for the gold medal. Johannes certainly seemed to want it the most. Here is the world champion, Benedict Doll. He's only got one win. It was a world championship race. That's how to do it. But he's got huge potential. But he's another of those biathletes that seldom hits 100% of the targets. When he does, he's always going to be up there. But it hasn't happened. It's happened once this season that he's gone clear. Now, Tarjei. He won't know about his brother quite yet. And we should get a split on Johannes Tingis going through 8.5 fairly shortly. A lot of missed shot 4. He's safely through that mark, and all 5 going down. He's going to be, well, he's certainly going to be behind. I'm just trying to find out exactly where he was coming into the first shoot. Well, he's some 12, 13 seconds behind, and I don't think he's going to improve on that. Arndt Pfeiffer starting first, always a relief to finish first. 25.52, the lead time. It would have been somewhere around 25.20. Oh, Lowell Bailey.
No.
Well, just before the race, we were talking about what the difference is with the Americans now, and we were saying it's their standing shooting that has been so good over the last month, and suddenly Bailey and Dunkley let us down.
I'm sure he's got a game plan, and also for Dunkley this morning, but it just doesn't seem to happen now.
Well, it's been a good fast. Yeah, it's been a really good ski from Clement Bauer, but it's nice to see the Americans doing well. We need the Canadians back to where they were 3 or 4 years ago, so we have a real competitive contingent from North America. Goranichev's going to set the target time. 25.52 will be well beaten. He had a good 20-second lead at the start of the last lap, and the margin now 29.3. Good effort from Goranichev, and he's a great he's a great pursuit skier as well. So even if he's 30 seconds behind, he's a danger. Now the French second in the Nations Cup standings. If they can pepper the top 10, they could well push Germany down into second place. They've got to gain some 60, 65 points throughout today. That generally, you don't get a swing of that many points in one race. And this is the last race to count. So Germany have already wrapped up the Women's Nations Cup standings. If they win this, they'll get the men's and, of course, the overall. Other news from today, Kukalova miraculously getting the sprint crystal globe, with Laura Delmar dropping down outside the top 30. Never thought I'd see that. Often we see the nerves affecting the athletes more at the World Cup finals than we do at the World Championships.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is home ground for the Norwegians, and it's definitely the pressure's on, you know, to perform. You got the king watching you, so you want to do well.
Now, let's see how Johannes has gone on the early stage of this. He had a lead of 18.3 coming out. He's extended that to 24.6. Every fraction of a second is going to count. So that's 6 seconds or so he's taken out of Granichev on the climb out of the stadium. If the skis are good, he could get another 3 or 4. What are we looking at? A 30, is 35 seconds possible to gain?
Oh, what, in the last loop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be on. You have to have an amazing feeling in form. Is, you know, to get 30 seconds in the last loop, that's not easy.
Semenov, good finish from Semenov. He was behind Granichev coming out of the range, so he's caught some 8 seconds on Granichev on his last loop. Now, Martin Fourcade, first miss, and I know he's good, but I don't think he's going to be able to make up for that. 16:31. Away he goes. Last target down at 16:13. He would have been right up there. And Martin Fourcade's time coming into the chute, 3 seconds outside Johannes Tingesbø. So it would have been a very, very tight race. But surely he can't get 23 seconds back on the Norwegian.
No, that's not going to happen. But Fourcade shooting 22 seconds, that is super fast as well. You see the intensity on Svensson. He always looks like he's pushing as hard as he can.
Nine out of 10 for Svensson, and that keeps him out of the top 3. 39.1 behind. Good start in the pursuit. Rastaguyev's always quick on the snow, seldom accurate in the stand. Dominic Landertinger, what a shame about that one miss, but he's had a flyer of the last 2.5 kilometres. Very, very quick, and had he gone clear, he might well have been challenging Johannes Tingesbø, who's on his way into the finish. Just see him. I think that's it is Johannes Tinges up the Northug step round the back of the biathlon range. He's got about 500 metres to go, and he is fighting every inch of the way to post a decent time. He knows with Fourcade starting behind him, he has got to keep the pressure on, even with Fourcade missing a shot.
You can see the coach is really running after him, pushing him on the last final stages of the track.
Just dropping off the plateau that separates the biathlon range from the waxing huts and down into the last 100 metres now. Johannes Tinges coming into the finish, just over 100 metres to go. It's going to take him 4 or 5 seconds. Absolutely flying down the home straight. 24:48 on the clock. He's going to be well inside the 25:14. And Johannes Tingesbø, the new leader. The margin, 21.5 seconds clear of Landertinger. And when he left the range, the margin between Bø and Landertinger was 30. So Landertinger has had an exceptional final lap.
I thought that Johannes was going faster towards the end there, but actually maybe he was dropping off.
Martin Fourcade, 24 seconds behind at the start of the last 3.3 kilometres. So we will see. He's closed down. The biggest margin he's done this season is 17 seconds on the last lap. He did that in Pachuca. He's done 15 seconds a couple of times. Didn't make the chase in Kontiolahti.
He's fast, but to pull back that amount of time, I don't think he's going to do it.
Now, what can the world champion do? Not a lot if he continues to shoot like that, way over to the right-hand side. That was right as well. Scrapes inside, 4 out of 5 for Benedikt Dull. Yeah, I think he's come off the boil a little bit since we were in Austria. what a World Championships it was. Everything seemed to go to plan. The snow conditions were fantastic. The weather was unbelievable. And, of course, the racing was like something we've never seen before. So close, particularly the time trial events. Tarjei Bo, his turn to try and match his brother. But Johannes Tingis in and out in 16:31. Tarjei does not shoot as quick as his younger brother.
Such a stable shooting position. Great eye relief. Very consistent.
4 out of 5, same shooting score as Emil Hegler Svensson. It's going to be there or thereabouts, but he will not be taking the lead. Here comes Uliana Bjorndalen, who started just 30 seconds behind Johannes Tingis. 2 misses on that prone shoot, costing him, and he'll be furious with himself because his prone shooting's been pretty good this season. 158 behind. He's going to be playing catch-up. Generally, the margin between first and 60 is 2 minutes 30, so he should be safe. Now, let's see what Fourcade has done. He was 24 behind. He's making a go of this one, but can he challenge Burt? 21-20, 17, so that's 7 seconds have gone his way.
Yeah, there's not much left of the loop, so he might be able to claw back a few seconds, but I think he's going to have to accept it's not going to happen.
Yeah, close enough to put pressure on for the pursuit, not close enough to challenge for the win today. But he could be back on the podium. And time again, despite missing targets, Fourcade seems to get himself onto the podium in the sprint races. Just looking at his record in the sprints this year, Mark, he's over 100 points clear, so that crystal globe is his. Easy one to calculate. What's he had? 5 wins out of 8 races. He's been on the podium 2 other times in 3rd position. He's only had 1 bad race. That came in Oberhof when we had really windy conditions. He finished down in 8th position.
There's one thing Fourcade likes to get into a fight in the pursuit and to dominate on the shooting range.
Yeah, he shows his confidence here. That looks like Sean Doherty, number 21. Just try and catch up on his progress. He's down in 20th position, 2 misses, 119 behind. So what can we take off? 50 seconds? That would put him 29 seconds back in terms of ski speed.
Yeah, 2 misses, 119 behind. That's actually, he's going okay. You know, 2 misses. That's a fast skiing, and he's getting done out there.
And Jean-Guillaume Betrix with just 1 miss, obviously taking 30 seconds out of the American. And this could be okay. Schlesinger on 25.51. I think he's just going to survive the check. But Pfeiffer on 25.52. He's okay as well. And look how close the positions are. Down into 9th. And another 5 seconds would have seen him into 5th or 6th position. But Betrix has done his bit. Martin Fourcade's going to be in the top of the order. Still touch and go in terms of the Nations Cup standings. The Frenchmen would love to win this one, but they need every single one of their athletes to produce a top 15. Germany sitting on top of the table at the moment, and in the finish area, Germany have Arndt Pfeiffer in 6th position and Eric Lesser down in 17th. The French, on the other hand, have Betrix in 9, and that is it. We're still waiting for the rest of them to finish. Hey, but this race is far from over, Mark. We've got to remind ourselves that Julian Eberhardt starts number 100. We've got Anton Shapulin starting 106 and Simon Ada starting 107.
Yeah, we've got some exciting athletes to come yet.
Roman Rees misses 1. He had a good weekend last weekend up in Kontiolahti. The athletes flying straight from Helsinki to Oslo.
You think of the roadshow as well, going from one World Cup to the next, from one week to the next. It takes its toll.
Doesn't seem to take too much out of this man. He's not going to get win number 14 today. 24.53 now. At the last split point, he was 17 seconds down. Fourcade trying to make sure that he doesn't give those starting after him any opportunity at all. Here he comes into the finish. Has he cut it again? I think he has. 13.6. So that's a great effort. 11 seconds taken out of Johannes Tingesbo. And I think he took 2 seconds seconds out of Dominic Landertinger, and he was flying.
That is impressive. He's really clawing back those extra seconds and make it a better start for tomorrow. It never seems like he's tired afterwards. Foucault, when he finishes a race, he normally jumps off his skis and he's still moving. Nice flashy manoeuvre.
Yeah, it's not easy.
You should try it sometime. Face plant.
Good shooting from Andrei Morovitz, and Semenov on 25-23 is going down. In fact, Semenov survives. Morovitz going into 5th position. That's a good race. I think the Czechs are going to be delighted with today's racing. They've got a crystal globe through Kukalova. Vitkova still going well. So there are the standings at the finish with Bo, Foucault, Landertinger, Semenov, Morovitz now 5, the Norwegian flag at the top, but they would have expected to see Svensson a little bit closer to the lead, and Bjorndalen, of course, missing 2 on the pro, and that put him out of contention.
And Morovitz with so consistent shooting, both in the pro and in the stand, and I think this guy's going to get faster as well, as we see from each season.
Well, we've only had 3 winners from the 8 sprint races this year. Foucault, of course, has won 5 of them. And Benedikt Doll getting 1. Simon Schemp getting 2. Not Simon Schemp, Eberhardt getting 2. Simon Schemp getting 2 mass start wins. Julian Eberhardt of Austria, who is on the start list today, going off number 100 out of the 108 starters. Danny Mesetic also going late on. So the Austrians, interesting tactics. Dominic Landertinger going in Group 1. And I guess that's the way. When you're not quite sure, put a couple in Group 1 and a couple in Group 4.
I don't quite understand what they're thinking, but it seems like it's good tactics to maybe rely on the start, early start on the end of the group to get better conditions.
Probably only 10% of the course has sunshine on it now.
Certainly the light around the stadium's dropping, losing sun.
We've had a miss low left, 1 miss high, and then the remaining 3 going down for Krishma.
It always amazes me, Patrick, on the entrance and the exit of the penalty loop. It's always just a near miss that, just like the sorry, just looking at that.
Yeah, the angles that you come off at. Yeah, there are 1 or 2. The other one that's difficult, actually Hogfelsen was almost at right angles. They were asking for trouble there, but somehow they seem to avoid each other. Who has right away? Person coming on, person coming off.
I think in the stress of what the position is in the person racing, I think you see that they're really gunning to get out first or take priority. I think you can feel it actually in the race situation.
Down the back straight for Tarje Boo and onto the big climb at the end of that particular straight. Benedikt Doll, 1 miss. Now, be interesting to see how he ranks against the others that have missed just 1 target. Martin Foucault lying in 2nd with 1 miss. Landertinger in 3rd with 1 miss. Benedikt Doll all the way down in 14th, 45.5. So the speed we saw from him between Christmas and the World Championships has just dropped away. Only a couple of %, but it makes a lot of difference in terms of places. That corner's getting quite tricky now. Deep, slushy snow, and that's the same on the course. It's the steep uphills and the sharp corners that suffer the most in these sort of conditions.
Yeah, the legs are heavy as well. It gets difficult to turn. It's just not easy.
And Tarje into 5th for now. Not a bad recovery. 28.4, 3rd fastest of those who's missed 1 target, but still Johannes Tingesbø of Norway who leads.
That's a great result.
Krasimir Anef. Last little blast for him.
You don't see that many athletes doing other than skate one climbing technique up that last hill. It's normally quite a steep little section there.
Yeah, Lawrence Vega looking very strong for Austria there, wearing 37. Yeah, the Austrians have done well. They've sort of created a similar situation to the Scandinavian ski gymnasiums. And it certainly seems to be paying dividends in terms of the ski speeds they're achieving.
Momentan so 10. Platz.
13th place for Anef, and in terms of shooting, what do we have? 5, 6 women shooting clear as we watch Simon Fourcade, later starter. Through the first split, I can't see, actually Mario Dolder started 65. He's gone through the first split 10 seconds off the fastest time, actually set by Lucas Hoffer of Italy. That was coming into the range for the first time. So there's still hope. There's still hope, and every minute that goes by, the temperature is dropping by a fraction of a degree. And in the next 5 minutes, the sun is going to disappear behind the jump. And actually, Mark, I don't think the sun is on any part of the track apart from the first climb up behind the commentary boxes.
Yeah, I think you're right, Patrick. I can't see much happening behind me with this. It's all getting dark.
And still they leave the start area. From our position, I can see maybe 4, 5, 6 athletes still waiting to go. Maybe a few more. ...108 starters. We started at past, so they should all be away after 54. So I've got a couple of minutes of starters, no more than that.
I can still see quite a few athletes warming up in the warm-up pen and getting ready to go.
That looks like Maxim Braun just starting. He's number 105. As we look at the leaderboard, Arndt Pfeiffer started one, down in 17th, an expensive miss from him, and 52 seconds off the pace. You wouldn't have expected that. Here's the man who leads. His body language would tell me that he wanted to win today.
Super focused.
Mazet, French coach, working with the Norwegian team. I think he's enjoyed working with Johannes Tingis. He's a big personality, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it's great to have some interesting personalities in the team to lift up the spirits and get you through the days when it's a little bit difficult.
Just a little rushed on the final shot. Komats, another of the Austrians, coming through 48. That's Simon Dessieux for France, 36. That's okay. I don't have any doubt that the French were going for the Nations Cup win today. Not sure the results are quite good enough. They needed Fourcade to win. Perhaps they needed 2 on the podium and 4 in the top 10 to deny Germany.
Definitely in this condition, it's like you really have to place the ski in the right place as you land it onto the snow, because the deep snow will take the ski off to the wrong direction if you don't stay sharp in keeping them where landing them in the right place. It's not easy when your legs are tired to put your skis down exactly where you want them to go.
But isn't that the difference between nations where, let's say, the snowy nations and the lowland nations? The Norwegians, for example, when they get tired, their skiing technique doesn't really look any different from when they're fresh.
Exactly.
It's just not quite as quick.
thousands of hours of practice.
Simon Dessieux, is he going ahead of Arndt Pfeiffer? That would help the French claim, and he has done. Good work from him, 25-28 the time, just 34.9 behind. Tomorrow's race does not count for the Nations Cup. This is the last event. So France now have Foucault in second, Simon Dessieux in 8, Quentin Fillon-Maillet in 12, and Beatrix in 15. I'm not going to attempt to do the mathematics as we see Julian Eberhardt on the start line, number 100. And so we're getting there. Another 7 still to go. We've got Dombrovski next, Nelin, Jaeger, and Gelis. Anton Shapulin goes 106, Simon Ada 107, Alexei Volkov 108. So a strong trio to finish this one off. But you can see on the tracks already he's leaving a groove of, 2-3 inches deep every time he puts the foot down.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be super light in your movements and not to waste energy in the deep snow. It'll be interesting to see the last 3 skiers there. I think there might be all of them pushing each other around at the end of the race. It's going to be exciting, Patrick.
Well, sadly, they don't have a visible thermometer. I think maybe you should pop outside, Mark, just have a look at the temperature, see what it is. Anything approaching 1 degree, and the conditions will be getting quicker.
Yeah, Patrick, you know what? The temperature is starting to drop a little bit now. So, you know, with every minute, fraction of a degree colder. It could be slightly faster in the tracks, which is good if you're starting at the end now.
Yeah, for those starting now, they've got another 25 minutes maximum of time out on the tracks. A degree could make all the difference. And I suspect that Julian Eberhardt is going to be chasing the game when he comes in for his first shoot. And if the conditions have gone the way he was predicting, he could produce the fastest last lap of the day. Well, you can see the moisture in the snow.
You think of the nightmare for the waxing team trying to keep the skis fast and select the right skis and wax. It's not easy to get the winning combination.
Fabien Claude reckoned to be the next generation of leading Frenchmen in the game. 7:44 as he takes his position on the map. Matt, he's gone into 10th position, Mark, so he's only 8 seconds off the leaders coming into the range. That's the first indication we've had that conditions are starting to recover. 2 misses. That's a real shame. That could be the critical performance for the French today.
Yeah, it was a very fast first lap, and it's a shame he's got 2 penalty loops to do, but it seems like he's skiing fast, so maybe we can see something special towards the end.
Just 3 to go, and another 24 minutes or so before we know the result of this race here in Oslo. Anton Shapulin hoping to shoot a little bit better than his sister did earlier on today. He's strong, he's fast. He doesn't shoot as fast as this man, Simon Ada, the hot shot of the biathlon tour for the last 3 years now. He taught himself how to shoot fast, and it has certainly paid off in bucket loads over the years, and consequently one of the most exciting biathletes out there. What will we see from him today? And he's just like Johannes Tingesbo. If he tries to shoot slowly, he shoots worse. 10 kilometers still to go. Alexei Volkov, 28 years old, comes from Khanty-Mansiysk. He'll be disappointed that the World Cup finals are here in Oslo, not in his hometown. nice atmosphere in Chianti, and actually at this time of year, you're still guaranteed temperatures down around -15. It's very different snow conditions out there, much, much drier. A bit like trying to ski on sandpaper. It's hard, hard work.
In fact, did they ever get any summer out there? I think it's winter all year round.
Well, the permafrost, most of the houses are built on. I know there was a concern 10 years ago that the permafrost was starting to melt and the houses were starting to sink, but I haven't heard about that recently. Now, Juni, he will know that there are enough good athletes clear that a mistake is going to keep him out of the top 15. 2 is going to push him out of the top 30. 3 could put him out of the top 60.
So now it's just critical to get in this top 60 so he can get a new race tomorrow.
He's back. Come across him before?
Yes, back. I can say I've never seen this guy in the streets of Oslo. Seen him on TV, but haven't bumped into him.
Nice prone shoot, 27.7. Second faster than we saw from Johannes Tingers, the current leader, but a little bit slower over the first 3.3 Ks. 15 seconds down. Late start for logging off. The host nation certainly didn't feel it was going to get quicker. Haven't seen much of Loganov on the World Cup tour. We saw him in the World Championships, took part in the mixed relay, got a bronze medal for himself there, and then had a very disappointing 72nd in the individual, missing a total of 7 targets. Last rays of the sun just piercing through the metalwork of the modern jump here in Holmenkollen, and shining on a scoreboard that reveals that Norway have the lead. 16:31, the leading time through the second shoot, and Johannes Tingers has come through to hold a decent lead over Martin Fourcade. Still not decided though.
And the general public in and around Oslo will be crossing their fingers right now and hoping the last late starters don't upset the party.
Now, it's one thing being good at winning, which the Norwegians certainly are. Are they good at losing?
Well, you don't like to talk about it. So I think that answers its own question. It becomes a habit. You know, they've been so strong in the Nordic and the cross country and even the Alpine now. It's kind of a little bit expected.
Now let's see Anton Shapulin through 1.9, the city in blazing sunshine behind him, and it is turning into the most glorious evening here. Make the most of it, because the forecast for tomorrow and Sunday is pretty grim. Lots of rain forecast on Sunday. That could change the atmosphere a little bit, but it's the mass starts. Surely we'll get a good attendance. Now, Eberhard, danger man in terms of the Norwegians. They know that he's fast enough to win, and Eberhard comes through 8:06 on the clock. He's not going to match Johannes Tingis at the moment, but if he goes clear in the stand as well, he will put up one of a hell of a chase. And Landertinger, of course, producing one of the fastest times over the last 3.3 kilometres. Simonetta 13.8. That's too much to give away on the first loop.
It isn't the ski speed, but seeing what this guy can shoot like and how fast he can do it, I think we can. we can't make any bets at the moment, Patrick.
Just keeping a careful eye on the weather. Actually, the weather forecast for tomorrow looking a bit better than it did last night. Going to get cold tonight. Should go down to what, -2, -3?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to just be a little bit under 0, and then warm back up again into tomorrow. Same again on Sunday. cold in the start and a little bit warmer. Maybe not as warm as today, which could be interesting.
Haven't seen Jaeger on the World Cup since Oberhof, I think it was, just after Christmas. Got a couple of decent results there in very tricky conditions. And actually shot better than that, maybe rushed a little, 28 seconds. An extra 3 or 4 could have made all the difference. Now, Danny Mesetic. Didn't see Mesetic out in Pyeongchang. One of a few athletes that's reached the ripe old age of 40.
Struggling a little bit on his rhythm to reset the position, reset the mind.
Highlight of his career really coming back in the World Championships in 2009. And this is an event that he's going to forget pretty quickly. So let's focus on Anton Shapulin now. 7:46. His speed coming into the first shoot for Shapulin. I can't see him in the top 15, which might suggest that he's way off the mark at the moment. 8:02. Well, that doesn't look too bad at all. I think he's actually ahead of Eberhard coming out. 8:09. He's going to be within 4 or 5 seconds. 4.2. That's fantastic for Shapulin. So the race is very much alive, and Johannes Tingesbo knows biathlon well enough not to start celebrating quite yet. Simonator, watch how quick this is. 2 seconds between 1 and 2, down to 1.6, 1.7. Unbelievable shooting, 1.8, but the missed shot has cost him 25 seconds, all for nothing.
That is fast shooting, but unfortunately, one penalty loop is too many.
Yeah, it's a gamble, and in the sprint, if you're not the fastest skier, you've got to take that gamble. Sometimes it will pay off, sometimes it won't. Alexei Volkov, the last of the starters. Saw him in the mixed relay in Kontiolahti. That was the only race he did there. Needed spares on both shoots. Not today. That's great shooting. Very, very solid shooting. And Volkov not quite quick enough to stay in. 21.8. That certainly goes in the top 3 in terms of speed on the prone shoot.
Very impressive.
Yeah, that's pushed his position right up into 34th. And if he can do the same in the stand and the conditions get a little bit quicker, he might well challenge for a top 20 finish. So Julian Eberhard, not a bad start. Mark, he's down in 8th position, 9.6 behind. He really, of the later starters, is the real threat. And Shapulin, of course, could challenge as well.
Yeah. And interesting with Shapulin, the last 2 World Cups, he has, in the sprint, started off not so great, missing 3 penalties on both sprints. But amazingly, on the pursuits, pulled back from 29th place to 10th and 23rd to 2nd, Patrick. So right now he's having a good day. Tomorrow, what a track form is, he could be on the podium. So a real comeback kid.
Yeah, and again, I think it's that thing of when you're out of contention, you can just let it go. The pressure is very much off. No one's going to complain if you don't finish in the top 20. And often you see those who make the comeback, they go all the way through to the final shoot. and then they suddenly realise what they're about to achieve, and they miss targets. Guy's back. 10 out of 10 for him. That will put a smile on most of the crowd's faces. 17 minutes. He's going to be over 40 seconds behind the race leaders, but that's still a good performance. Just looking at the margins, we've got 14 athletes within a minute of the race leader. We've got 40 athletes within 2 minutes of the race leader, and the margin down to number 60 at the moment is at 2 minutes 55, which is a very, very big gap. I suspect that will come down a little over the next few minutes, but we're looking at over 2:30, and the importance of that is that at the moment anyone within 2:50 is getting a start in tomorrow's pursuit event. So the most nervous man in the stadium is probably Johannes Tingesbø.
Yeah, I reckon, especially with the some of the late starters there. There's some really close times. See what they can do on the last couple of loops in the stand shooting.
Well, the local production team will be hoping that he's going to end up the race winner. It's far from decided. Johannes Tinges, number 3 in the World Cup standings at the moment. He's missed 4 races, so that gives you some idea of just how good he is. But he is also, on the other hand, 528 points behind the overall World Cup winner this year, Martin Fourcade. And that is a massive margin when you think you only pick up 60 points for a win. King Harold enjoying his time here.
It's great to see the King's family out watching the races and cheering on, not just their own athletes, but everyone who is in the race.
So Julian Eberhardt looking for some slightly firmer snow on that left-hand side. Clear in the prone. Will get a time split very, very shortly on his entry into the range. He's actually 22.8 seconds down, so starting to tire, I think. And the conditions have not switched quite as dramatically as we thought. A quick shoot, an accurate shoot, and he could come out within 15 seconds of the leader. That could be worth a podium finish.
He's normally pretty consistent in stand shooting, so, well, may best be too soon.
Yeah, it's quick. What a shame. What a shame about that first shot. 21.3, and Julian Eberhardt would have clawed back 5 or 6 seconds on Johannes Tingesbø, but with the penalty loop, he's going to lose 20, and now he's fighting for a top 5 or 6. Morovitz on 16.55. What are we looking at? A margin of around 37-38. Yeah, he's going to have to go some to get into the top 10.
Oh, this is his last loop. He's got tired legs. He's really going to have to pull this.
Yeah, I think his greatest achievement this season was actually his pursuit last weekend, getting through a 4-shoot race and holding on to a top 3 position.
Yeah, he had a good sprint. 9th place, Contiolati, 2-0. So the guy, he can shoot well.
Martin Fourcade, well, he's got fans all over the world. He's got 1 or 2 fans who are dying to see someone else win. Well, that's happened today. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, you just have to admire what he's done. And, you know, you often have that conversation, who's the best ever? Fourcade certainly is a more complete biathlete than Uliane Bjorndalen. Jaroslav Sukup, an up and down season for him. I must say, over the last 5 years, the Czech Republic have been the team that have improved the most. And so often when a sort of second division team comes up and joins the first division, they stay there for a very short period and drop back down. But the Czechs have kept it going. Their success has produced a huge amount of popularity within the sport. So they've got people coming in at the bottom level, but it's also generated massive amounts of money, which they've been able to turn into facilities and equipment and development of the athletes.
There's no doubt about it. The financial backing or the money that's pumped into all aspects of the sport will definitely lift many different areas. You know, the equipment to the coaching, it's all relevant.
Now, I think Schapulin has suffered a little like Eberhardt on this second loop and lost significant amounts of time. He was in third place after the first shoot, and already the clock on 16:16. He's got to go clear. He's got to go very fast. This is good. 4 out of 4. Last one for Schapulin. Down it goes. Great shooting from Anton. A little bit unlucky for him that the conditions haven't changed more, but he's given himself a very, very good chance of getting into the top 3. 21 seconds between first and third in the finish, and Schapulin should be going. Is he going into second? Is he going into third? He's second place, 14.9 down. Now, if he's feeling good and the temperature has dropped as we thought it might, then he's got a slim, slim chance. But that's a fantastic effort.
Amazing. 21 seconds shooting. He's got everything to go for, and he pulls it off. And, well, 14 seconds out there, it can be done.
Now, let's see what Ada does. Let's go for a fast one.
Camera can't even keep up.
Incredible. Incredible. Great to watch. 1.4 between shot 4 and 5. We're under 20 seconds. 19.4 from Simon Ada. Sort of form we saw from him up in Kontiolahti. What a shame about that first miss in the prone, because if you take 25 seconds off this time, he would have been vying for a top 3 position as well. 38.7. He'll be racing for a top 10. If he can keep that margin at 38.7, that will put him into 9th position.
Insane shooting speed. It's just getting faster and faster. I mean, what's the, in the next 5 years, what are we expecting? 15 seconds clear?
Yeah, fantastic. And Simon Ada actually wasted a couple of seconds getting ready. He could have been even quicker than that. Volkov says anything Ada can do, I can do as well. 20 seconds for him with a 12.5 second preparation. Oh, well, that's a nice way to finish. So often these time trials go dead with all the big names at the front. It's a real pleasure to see some of the stars starting in group number 4. The key mark is to hold the race at a time of day when the temperature is likely to go from warm to cold.
Yeah, I think so. And the challenge of coming in at light speed and reducing the heart rate and then taking the weapon off and shooting all 5 rounds, hitting every target in less than 20 seconds is nearly impossible. So this is so impressive.
Well, there's Simon Ada. He's gone into 11th with that lightning quick shoot, 38.7 behind. But it's looking a little rosier now for Johannes Tingesbo. He can relax a little. I don't think he'll be celebrating before Julian Eberhardt and Schapulin have crossed the line. 47.2. So Eberhardt's not going to be any danger at all. And actually, even with a clear shoot, he was going to be 20 seconds behind. So the rapid skiing we saw from him earlier in the season has gone. This is Giesbach, another of those who's gone clear. Just at a glance, I think we're looking at about 14, 15 athletes who've hit the perfect score. In the women's race, it was 5. They had slightly tougher conditions at the start of their race.
Yeah, great shooting from Giesbach. He's like 0-0, cannot be better. See how deep it is on the final turn into the range, or into the finish line. Super deep snow.
Hoffer survives. Bakarnikov on 26.01 is okay. And Simon Schemp on 26.05 just survives. He's about going into 22nd position. Consider his 2 other sprints he's done on the World Cup this year. 92, 61, 22. That's the sort of progression you like to see from your athletes. Great work. And that's a big, big day for him.
I think he's going to be very happy.
24, so not as young as Johannes Tingis when he started to hit top form, but still 24 gives him another 4 or 5 years before he reaches his prime.
Yeah, just to get a look in the team, you know, in the national arena. It's
after the second shoot is down in 4th position, but Fourcade has skied up into second. Granichev's dropped all the way down into seventh at the moment, so likely to go down in number 8. The question is, what will Shapulin be able to do? We're going to find out here. He came out of the range 14.9 behind, and the margin has got bigger. It's looking good for Johannes Tingesbo. It's looking good for Martin Fourcade, who finished only 13.6 behind the Norwegian. Yeah, brave decision to go in Group 4, but it's somewhat backfired.
Yeah, I think, yes, you could get a slight increase in the speed in the snow because of the temperatures dropping a little bit, but at the same time, it's not any easier to ski. It's very deep in certain areas of the course. On the uphills there, you can see looks like there's slush coming off the skis as they're climbing. So it's a heavy day out there.
Yeah, and actually, if the temperature drops dramatically, then all those ruts turn to ice and skiing becomes a nightmare. Relaxation is just about impossible. So perhaps they made the wrong decision, but brave enough to make a decision.
Yeah, the energy use of when the conditions are tricky, you just use a lot more energy just to keep the ski in the right line.
Yeah, I think Eberhard is the man to talk to find out what it was really like. He'll give you an honest answer, no doubt about it.
Might have to put a few beeps here and there.
Tough day, and he's got less than 24 hours to recover before the pursuit, so it's a really hard weekend to finish off the season. 3 consecutive days of racing for the men. It's a 10K, a 12.5, and then a 15K.
But the nice thing tomorrow is that if there is any whinging about the conditions, starting early, starting late, tomorrow it's going to be in 3 minutes everyone's gone and there is no excuses. So we're just waiting for Shipulin to come over the top of the hill now. Sun's still shining. He's looking strong. Great shooting, fast shooting. 21.6 seconds behind. But such a great feeling to come in towards the stadium. You see you've got less than 1K to go.
Well, Shapulin's still in third position, going through 9.5, so he's being urged on. He's now some 7 seconds down on Martin Fourcade, and the question is whether he can hold off Semenov of Ukraine, who at 9.5 was only 2 seconds behind, in fact 1.8, so it's a very, very slim margin, and it's going to take an extra big effort from Shapulin if he wants to go on the podium. Skate 2 on the early part of the climb, switches to skate 1. The Russian fans looking on, and this is their number 1 biathlete, has been for a number of years now. A massive talent.
He knows he has got to push all the way to the finish line.
It's all about top.
The Russian coach is nearly running out of comments there. They're going crazy trying to push him.
Yeah, Landertinger, remember, still lying in third with 21.05 behind, 25.14. It's going to be very, very close. Third or fourth looks like for Shapulin coming into the finish. Oh, it's going to be desperately close. Landertinger just loses out, and Anton Shapulin with a last 50-meter dash holds on to third place, 21.3, and half a degree in temperature, and he could have been top. That's how tight it was. Had the race started 15 minutes later, the gamble might have paid off, but take your hat off to Shapulin. That's a fantastic effort to finish third, having started right at the back of the field. Simonator on his way into the stadium. and we'll keep an eye on his score. One miss from Simoneida. 13 World Cup wins now for Johannes Tingesbo, 21 times on the podium. He's only 23, and I wonder, is he going to win the overall World Cup? Is he consistent enough to do that? Not at the moment, not while Martin Fourcade's around, but he is certainly one of the most exciting biathletes out there, as is Simoneida. Great shooting from Simoneida again. Had he not missed in the prone, he might well have challenged for a top 5 today. Yeah, like Eberhardt, he looks he looks a little frustrated. It didn't go as planned.
I don't think he can load quick enough, this guy.
Well, that is the limiting factor, isn't it, in terms of how quick he shoots. But the fact that no sooner has he loaded than the rifle is on aim, on target.
I think he keeps his finger on the trigger and just pulls back the cocking mechanism.
You're not allowed an automatic. Volkov, another man who's hit all the targets, so those going at the back of the field did very, very well. Shapulin, best positioned of them all, but Volkov's not going to be able to change the top. Just looking at the shooting times, 36.7 in the stand shoot. That's the range time. Volkov fastest of all. We saw him produce something spectacular. Ada just 0.1 of a second. So the fastest 3 in the range for the standing shoot. Volkov, Ada, Shapulin, and then Nordgren of USA just behind them. And actually, Oliana Bjorndalen in 5th position with a time of around 37.8. What a day for Johannes Tingesbo. He gets a win at home in Holmenkollen. Well, plenty more biathlon to come over the weekend, but it is the last weekend of the season, so do join us tomorrow if you can. We'll try and bring you the times of the races tomorrow. It's the pursuit tomorrow, the men racing over 12.5, the women go over 10 kilometres. And the times you've seen on the screen, Central European, so deduct an hour if you're watching in the UK. And then the mass starts on Sunday, should be fantastic. All kicks off at 10 o'clock UK time, 12:15 the start UK time.
Zuschauer werden begleitet. Anyway.
Just moments to go before the start of the men's sprint here in Oslo. Arne Pfeiffer, who got himself a win in Kontiolahti last week. Can he do the same? This is a venue where he's won before, so Pfeiffer will be full of confidence, and the sprint is the discipline where he's most successful. Only 2 of his wins have come outside of the sprint event, so it's the 2-shoot race that suits him down to the ground. He's obviously on good ski form. Keep an eye on him. Not so often that the first starter gets the win, but it has happened this season, and who's to say it's not going to happen today?
And this race, this is a sprint race. There is no take it easy. When the moment they come out the start gate, it's all out effort.
And it's all out climb for the early stages. Sergei Bakarnikov just starting, and he'll be followed by Klemen Bauer of Slovenia, who's a very quick skier, but Klemen really struggling with the standing shoot in particular. Uliana Bjorndalen, he is back for yet another season. He's coming back next year, 2018, his big target. Remember, he was going to retire after 2014 Olympics, but I think on the balance of it, Mark, he's actually made the right decision, because he got medals here at the World Championships last year. He got a medal in Hogfilsen at the World Championships this year. No one can say he's fading into the memories.
No, he is continuing to surprise everybody, the critics and probably the teammates. He's still hanging in there. He's got a lot to offer, and it's great to see that Uliana can just keep pushing out race after race.
In terms of the press, is his popularity still up there?
I think when it comes to the big events,
Kontiolahti of the season, I think that takes his tally up to 8 overall. Fourcade missing too many targets, continually playing catch-up. Pfeiffer just very methodical, 5 targets going down time and time again. Well, those 2 misses on the final shoot for Fourcade, costing him a chance of a win. And what a race we had. Svensson was still in there. And a very strong finish from Pfeiffer. Simoneda coming through the ranks with some more good shooting. The fastest shot by some margin, Simoneda. When he shoots fast, he tends to shoot well. When he changes his game, it doesn't really go his way. So the conditions here, still 6 degrees. I think that's delayed an hour or so, because both Mark and myself feeling that the temperature dropping already. And this race is going to run through to somewhere near 6 o'clock, certainly, Mark. The tracks could get a little bit quicker by the end of the day.
Yeah, the sun's starting to drop down a bit now, and the temperature will drop off a little bit. The interesting thing is the humidity is at 39%, which is quite interesting when it's +6. So actually, there's not that much water in the air, so it could also have a bit of an effect on the skis.
Yeah, a lot of athletes noticing that in their rooms last night, the tongue sticking to the top of the mouth because it's so dry, and that might make the ski speeds a little bit quicker. We noticed a little difference in the women's, but it's always difficult when the faster skiers go first to then try and assess how fast the conditions are at the end of the race. Will we see massive changes today? Well, we'll wait and see. Johannes Tingesbø starting 15, Bjorndalen just behind him. The big guns wanting to get into Group 1. Sean Doherty going 21. That is the man that Mike Dixon's put his money on today. He's been doing that for the last 15 years, though. Let's hope that today is the big one for Doherty, who's certainly a talent, but has yet to fulfill his potential. Krishmar starting at 50. Christiansen shooting well, and Scotty Dixon going just after Christiansen. Hopefully he'll be on form. Again, sadly, Amanda Lightfoot having to withdraw from today's race, racing home for compassionate reasons. So we wish her well. Very sad not to see her racing earlier on today, because her form is coming up. And from the back of the field, Mark, anyone you can pick out that could do something, could keep the race alive. Julian Eberhard, I see, starting number 100. He obviously fancies the later conditions, as does Anton Shapulin, as does Simoneda. Now, that's the sort of situation we like to see, and that's the situation we had at the World Championships, where 5 or 6 thought that it was going to get quicker later, and that's the way it turned out.
I think we can be in for a good end of the race here with Shipley and Naida starting at the end to make it a little bit exciting. If anyone could do it, those two guys have got a good chance to upset the early runners.
Yeah, and Alexei Volkov going number 108, so 54 minutes to get everyone underway. Bakarnikov will be back in the dressing room. He'll probably be showered and back in the hotel, which is only about 300 yards away from the stadium, before Volkov even puts his skis on to start the race. And he won't hang around to watch.
Also, with the weather conditions, there's a lot of new snow being made and placed on the tracks, plus the natural snow falling. So it's a bit of a mixture, so it can be quite deceiving with regarding the waxing and how you prepare the skis for the races.
And of course, Martin Fourcade has already secured the overall. Kontiolahti was the last venue we raced at. That was last weekend. A sprint, a pursuit, and the mixed relays, of course. Well, Martin Fourcade finishing in first place in the sprint. Missed one target. Still managed to outski Andre Morovitz and Emil Hegler Svensson, who both went clear. 22:17 his winning time, and everyone thought he was set up for another double, having won the sprint, but he failed to win the pursuit the following day. But he did take his total up to 6 overall globes, 6 sprint globes. I mean, he's amassing the records, and one by one, he is picking off the records of Ole Einar Bjorndalen. Morovitz, unlucky. He was only 0.6 of a second outside, and he will know that the drop in tempo down the home straight cost him that 0.6 of a second. He took the lead when he crossed, but Fourcade was still out on the tracks at that stage. Julian Eberhard, a man who's had a sensational finish to the season for Austria, he's certainly a potential winner today. So keep an eye on Eberhard. If he can drop 10 targets, even Martin Fourcade is going to struggle to beat him. Arndt Pfeiffer getting his first win in the pursuit up in